me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! No doubt about it. I gotta get another hat.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
In trying to rediscover their secret rocket fuel, Rocky and Bullwinkle have been threatened by two moon men who will go to any lengths to keep Earth tourists from cluttering up the surface of the moon, even to scrooching our heroes if need be. And if that weren't bad enough, when the boys were on their way home, the two spies, Boris and Natasha, received their latest instructions.
Don't tell me, let me guess. I'll bet it says, kill moose, right?
Right.
Okay.
But in front are two more words. Do not.
Do not kill moose. Oh, Boris, you impetuous boy, what have you done?
Better yet, what will you do?
Save him! I've got to save him!
Boris raced to beat the heavy safe to the ground, and he won. Almost. The heavy safe drove him into the ground like a tent stake. Bullwinkle's keen mind knew instantly what had happened.
Hey, up there! You dropped your safe.
Boris, where are you?
Here.
Boris, darling, you're alive.
This is living.
In the next few days, the boys worked like demons, measuring, sifting, rolling, baking. And the results were tremendous. 7-layer cheesecakes, hot fudge strudel, an acre of cinnamon pizzas, and 200 pounds of peanut brittle. Unfortunately, none of it would explode.
Golly, Bullwinkle, people are depending on us. The world's waiting for our discovery. That recipe is locked in your brain somewheres.
It is?
Yep. All we gotta do is figure how to get it out. Hey, I got it. Hypnosis.
Hypnosis?
You'll be hypnotized, and while you're asleep, you'll tell us the recipe.
I'm gonna talk in my sleep?
Yeah.
Swell. Usually I just snore.
We'll get the world's greatest hypnotist to come here and... Who is it?
It is I, Swami Ben Boris, world's greatest hypnotist. This is my assistant.
Haven't we met before?
Were you ever in Cairo?
No.
Well, that's it then. Neither was I. Now let's get to work.
Shucks, you can't hypnotize me. I got too much brain power. I'm just a... Yes, master.
All right. What is in the recipe?
Wait a minute. You'll have to leave now. This is top secret stuff.
Oh, don't worry. I won't listen. On my honor as a genuine Swami.
What about the lady?
She doesn't speak English, do you, dear?
Of course not.
Well, maybe she better put her fingers in her ears anyway.
Okay. At last the formula will be mine. Now, Mr. Moose, tell me everything you know.
So Bullwinkle told them everything he knew, all about his early days in the Minnesota woods, his days at the Philpott School for Exceptional Children, and he was exceptional, being the only student with antlers. His experiences in the Army, where he served 3 years as a hat rack in the Officers Club. On and on he went without stopping for 12 hours. But true to their promise, Boris and Natasha didn't hear a word. The steady drone had long since sent them to dreamland. Unfortunately, it had done the same thing to Rocky. And so when Bullwinkle finally got to Grandma's recipe, the only people who heard it weren't people at all, but the two moon men.
Did you hear that, Gidney?
Yes, Clyde. It's exactly the formula we use.
Oh, boy! Can I scrooch him now?
Yes, Clyde. You can scrooch him now.
Don't fail to see our next episode, The Scrooched Moose.
And now it's time for...
Time for the dancing fool, Bullwinkle.
Again? And now for one of our special fairy tales.
Yeah.
In the land of Harump, which is pronounced like when you clear your throat, there lived an ogre. This ogre was so ugly that he developed powers to change himself so that he wouldn't have to look at his ugly face.
Oh, you are ugly. I have never seen such an ugly face. Change to something else. Well, now you're not ugly, but man, look at those ears.
Aside from being ugly, he was mean and nasty. He kept the whole countryside in slavery because, aside from being uglier than his countrymen, he was also bigger, much bigger. Because of this evil ogre, a miller, tired of trying to make ends meet, died. And to his first son, an energetic type, he willed the mill. To the second son, a simple type, he willed an ass. And to the third son, a dirty type, that is to say, an unwashed type, he left a cat.
A cat? A cat? What can I do with a cat? Cat soup, that's all you're good for.
If you just cool down, I'll show you how I shall be more useful to you alive than floating around in a kettle of carrots and turnips.
Explain to me, if you please, how you can be of use.
Just give me a sack and your finest boots, and you'll find you are not so ill off as you suppose.
Jack decided that he would give the cat a chance, but as he sat there in his stocking feet, he couldn't help wondering what Puss would need the boots for.
Because that's the name of the story, silly. Puss and Boots.
Puss marched out to the fields and set his bag to trap the wild game of the countryside. Puss drew the cord and marched directly to the palace.
Sire, here is magnificent game from the warren of my lord, the Marquis of Carabas.
Tell your master that I accept his present, and I am very much obliged to him. And I order you to the kitchen for something to eat.
While in the kitchen, Puss overheard two servants talking about an intended drive in the country to be taken by the king and his beautiful daughter the next day.
Aha!
Puss had a plan. He rushed home to explain it to Jack.
What? Let me sleep. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's a loud cat. Stop stomping around the room and speak your piece.
Why I don't search out a warm lap by the fireside, I'll never know, for all the gratitude I get around here. However, sir, if you would only follow my advice, your fortune is made. You have to go bathe.
Bathe?
In the river and leave the rest to me. Only remember, you are no longer yourself, but my lord, the Marquis of Carabas.
Bathe? This is a big thing you ask, Cat. A whole new experience, a different way of life. You can't rush into a thing like that. To bathe or not to bathe, that is the question. Oh, it's cold. You didn't tell me it'd be cold.
Never mind that. Shh. Here comes the king. Help! Help! It's my lord, the Marquis! Help! Oh, rueful day! Thieves! Thieves! They stole all my master's clothing while he was bathing!
By George, he must be a clean fellow, bathing on a cold day like this. Well, it so happens I always carry a change of clothing for marquises in distress. He is size 37, isn't he? They usually are.
Size 37? Right, sire.
And so Jack, for all appearances, became the Marquis of Carabas and was invited by the king to ride with him and his beautiful daughter in the carriage. Meanwhile, Puss was racing on ahead, putting up signs to lead the king to believe that all the land belonged to his master. Puss put up his signs to the very door of the ogre.
Ouch! What do you think you're doing?
Well, I couldn't think of passing the castle of such a noble gentleman without paying my respect.
Hey, a talking cat.
But talking is not half so remarkable as your many powers. I hear you have the ability to change.
Oh, you mean like this?
That's pretty good, you know. How about something tough? Like changing into something small, you know, like a fly.
A fly? So be it.
Otto! Oh, there you are. Pray tell me who belongs to this beautiful castle.
Welcome, sire, to the castle of my lord, the Marquis of Carabas.
So all of this land and this castle belongs to you. I'm very, very impressed. But I'm much more impressed by that bath of yours. Any marquis who would brave the elements for the sake of cleanliness is worthy to be a son-in-law. Therefore, I would be honored if you would take my daughter's hand in marriage.
And so they were married, and Jack released all the people from bondage and conducted all his important business from the bathtub and lived happily and cleanly ever after.
Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Well, Rocky and Bullwinkle's attempts to find a rocket fuel to take them to the moon has certainly raised a fuss, especially on the moon itself.
We moved to the dark side just to get away from those peeping toms and their telescopes. Now they're going to come right on up.
We must stop them.
So the Moonmen selected two of their hardiest adventurers and sent them down to Earth with only one mission, to stop our heroes from finding the formula. And so when a hypnotized Bullwinkle recited his recipe for Grandma Moose's fudge cake, even to a sleeping audience...
Can I scrooge him now, Gidney?
Yes, Clyde. Scrooge him now.
As the mysterious ray struck Bullwinkle, he was instantly frozen solid, stiff as a board. So that's what it was like to be Scrooged.
Where do we put it?
Let's take it home in our flying saucer.
The Moonmen had scarcely left the room when Boris woke up.
Go on. I didn't miss a word. Where did he go? Oh, there he went. Hey, you, come back with my moose.
But he knows the formula. We gotta take him along.
Don't be foolish. You missed the brains of the outfit.
The brains? Who's that?
The squirrel. He knows the formula too.
He does?
Do I look like a liar? Don't answer. You go get him. I'll mind your moose for you.
The Moonmen dashed back to where Rocky and Natasha were still dozing.
All right, everybody up.
Ooh, it's all right, lady. They're just plain ordinary moon men.
Which one of you is the brains?
I am.
Because if you are, we're gonna scrooge you.
She is.
Which one is the squirrel?
That's me. Where's Bullwinkle?
We're taking him with us. You too. Come on.
Bye-bye, darling. Have a nice trip.
It looked bad, but Rocky's nimblewits were hard at work.
Okay, we'll go, but it does seem a shame to miss the party.
Party?
Sure. The government always throws a big party for visiting spacemen.
With paper hats?
And noisemakers?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could wait a little while.
Of course, we need our entertainment, Chairman.
Who's he?
My pal, Bullwinkle.
Oh, that's easy. We left him right... He's gone.
Sure enough, the wily Boris had stolen Bullwinkle and was at that moment heading for a lonely house high on a hill.
He can't go far. That moose was scrooched.
Scrooched?
How long did you scrooch him for, Cloyd?
The dial said 8.
8 what?
I don't know. It's either 8 hours or 8 years.
Well, Bullwinkle was still frozen solid and Boris couldn't loosen him up. Then exactly 8 hours later...
Ooh.
You're conscious.
No, I'm Bullwinkle. Where am I?
This is your new laboratory. I am your new assistant. Shall we get to work?
Well, let's see. I guess so. 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon salt. You taking all this down?
Yes. Could you speak a little louder? I'm rather hard of hearing.
Oh, certainly. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Little did Bullwinkle know that Boris's hearing aid was in reality a powerful shortwave transmitter, and that every word he uttered was instantly heard in another country far away by a band of sinister spies. Don't fail to see our next episode, Monitored Moose or the Carbon Copycats.
And now, once again, to give you an insight on his outlook, Mr. Know-It-All.
Hello, low IQers. Today's discussion concerns how to tame lions and pick up a little scratch on the side of your head. In order to tame a lion, one needs 4 items: a whip, a gun, a chair, and a tame lion, like Teddy here. Got up on the wrong side of the cage, didn't we? First, we proceed to test the whip. This is done by snuffing out a candle that sits on the head of a small flying squirrel.
You sure you know what you're doing, Mr. Know-It-All?
Haven't missed yet. We are now prepared to face the lion. Are you ready, Teddy? Now for my next subject, how to run the 4-minute mile in 30 seconds with whip and chair.
Wait Wait a minute. Aren't you going to show us how to tame a lion?
Not with Teddy being as ready as he is.
Oh, come on.
Very well, I shall tame him with hypnotism. Teddy, look into my eyes. Now I am the master. You are the slave. You are in my power. Now I shall demonstrate the most dangerous feat of all, putting my head into Teddy's mouth. Teddy!
That's wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All. And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. See? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Wrong hat.
And now it's time to meet Mr. Peabody.
Hello there, Peabody here. And this is the Wayback Machine for traveling through time. And this is my boy, Sherman. Speak, Sherman.
Hello.
Good boy. And today we visit Napoleon.
No kidding, Mr. Peabody?
I never kid, Sherman.
Time?
About 1810.
Place?
Paris. The Wayback was working beautifully. We were teleported right into Napoleon's chambers. He wasn't exactly dressed to receive visitors.
Who is there? Oh, you are from the Secret Service?
Why, sire, is something amiss?
Of course, they are gone.
What are gone?
The Imperial braces.
Huh?
The Emperor means his suspenders are missing.
Oui.
But why are they so important?
Because they hold up my pants up.
Crushing logic, sire.
You can't be an emperor without suspenders?
Of course not. If I try to draw my sword, see, I cannot order the troops forward. I cannot even salute. And as for making a speech, impossible.
Well, why don't you get another pair?
Because I am the emperor. I must wear only the imperial suspenders.
Sire, who besides you has access to your wardrobe?
Only my ever-faithful servant, Pierre Lecomo.
And where is he?
Come to think of it, I haven't seen him lately.
Find Pierre and you'll find the missing suspenders.
But where?
There!
Yes, through the palace window, Sherman had spotted a skulking figure moving toward the gate.
Come on, Mr. Peabody.
My dear boy, I'm a genius, not a track star.
He went this way, toward the docks.
In a trice, we were on the docks.
Look, that ship's leaving. We'll lose them.
I doubt that. With the ship pulled to a stop, Sherman and I made our way to a porthole. Inside was Pierre Lecomo and his conspirators. On the table between them were the royal suspenders.
You have done your work well, Pierre.
Nothing.
When our generals see this, they will know Napoleon is helpless.
And they will attack.
Then France will fall.
Like Napoleon's pants.
But, Pierre, the table is moving.
How come?
It's simply the rolling of the ship, gentlemen.
Yes, it's the rolling of... What? After them!
Well, we got the suspenders. Let's run.
Unfortunately, we ran in opposite directions, but it was just as well.
Quickly! Unless we get those suspenders, our plot is doomed.
I have got this one cornered.
Peekaboo.
Ooh, give me back my sword, you.
Oh, very well. How's everything, Sherman?
Just fine, Mr. Peabody.
That's nice. It's not sporting, you know.
Who cares? I'm going to get you if it's the last thing I do.
What do you know? It was the last thing.
You little pest, I'm going to feed you to the sharks.
Be calm, Sherman. My guidebook says there are no sharks in these waters.
Goodbye, you brat.
Monsieur Lecomo, you seem to have cut the hawser.
But when I go, he goes.
Not necessarily. And as the rope parted, Sherman dangled at one end of the Emperor's braces, while Pierre Lecomo fell into the murky water. My, seems the guidebook was wrong about those sharks. Well, now to return these to Napoleon and receive the thanks of the happy populace.
They don't look happy.
Something the matter?
Please, Monsieur Peabody, don't take the Emperor's suspenders back.
Why not?
Because it is the first day in 33 years there has been peace and quiet in France.
The first day the cannons have been silent. No boom, boom, boom.
For years, our people have had to go around with their fingers in their ears.
It's the first time I've seen my daddy in 33 years, too.
And who is your daddy?
Napoleon.
Well, we had kept the suspenders from falling into the hands of France's enemies, but there really didn't seem to be any reason for returning them to Napoleon either. And so we didn't. There they are. That's why in all the pictures of Napoleon, his hand is inside his coat. He's really holding up the imperial pants.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
But that trick never worked.
This time for sure. Presto! Well, I'm getting close.
And now it's time for another special feature.
You remember that while Bullwinkle was hypnotized, he named all of the ingredients of a secret rocket fuel. He had already bored Rocky and the two spies into a sound slumber, but there were still two witnesses to hear him, the Moon Men. Their reaction was quick and to the point. They scrooched Bullwinkle and started off to the moon with him. When Boris saw what was happening, he managed to turn their attention to Rocky while he made off with a moose. When Bullwinkle recovered, he was in a new laboratory with a new assistant who looked remarkably like Boris Badenov and who wore a hearing aid that broadcast directly to a nest of spies in a foreign country. Not only that, but the spies had a laboratory set up to duplicate Bullwinkle's every move.
You're receiving, Hockey?
Okay.
Turn on speaker.
Let's see now. 2 cups of flour.
Got that?
Got it.
A pound of kumquats.
Got it?
Right, Chief.
Shh. Listen.
And now a hatful of vanilla to give it character.
You sure this is chemical experiment?
Well, sure, why?
Sounds more like girls' cooking class.
Uh-oh, he's a smart one. Well, Bullwinkle, what do you do now?
Bullwinkle was a mite embarrassed by not knowing the scientific names of anything until he spotted a chemistry dictionary on a shelf. Quickly, he opened it.
Well, how's this now? 3 ounces of methylene bromide and a cube of diphenylphosphate.
That's better. You getting all this?
And now a dozen benzochlorines.
Benzochlorines? But...
Quiet. Do as he says.
Now we'll just pop it into a hot oven for about an hour.
Pop it into... No, not that.
We must follow his directions exactly. Pop it in.
So, obeying Bullwinkle's instructions, the spies put their mixture into the oven. As a result, their laboratory instantly disappeared, while the only result in Bullwinkle's lab was...
Oh, darn. Just another mess of chocolate pan dowdy.
Hello? You receiving me? Hello, fearless leader. Funny they don't answer.
But while Bullwinkle didn't think much of his latest effort, it was doing him a lot of good, for its fragrant aroma drifted out of the window and down the hill and eventually reached the sensitive nose of his best friend.
Hey, smell that?
Smell what?
That delicious aroma.
I don't smell anything.
Cloyd, we don't have noses.
Oh, I forgot for a minute.
But I do, and I'm going to follow it right to Bullwinkle.
And so over every obstacle, Rocky followed the smell of Bullwinkle's chocolate pan dowdy. It took him right to the house on the hill, but he didn't approach unobserved.
Curses! Is that nosy squirrel? I must work fast.
And Boris did work fast, for when Rocky reached the house...
Gee whiz, looks like I was expected. Do not turn back. Go on instead. Your friend the moose is just ahead. Boris shave. 10 feet to moose. Too far. Go back 5 feet. Stand here. Pull rope.
But when Rocky pulled the rope, a trap door opened under him and the plucky squirrel dropped from sight.
See? It pays to advertise.
Don't miss our next episode, Rocky's Dilemma, or A Squirrel in a Stew.
cultural part of our program, we bring you Bullwinkle's Corner with that moose of letters, Bullwinkle.
Hello there. Today's poem is from Mother Moose.
Mother Goose.
Goose? Must be a misprint. Anyways, the poem is Little Miss Muffet. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet.
What's a tuffet? What's a tuffet?
It's what I'm sitting on, eating her curds and whey. Boy, this stuff is terrible. Along come a spiderette. You with the spider?
He couldn't make it.
But you ain't scary. You're supposed to scare me.
Okay, fellas, up.
Take two. Along come a spider and sat down beside her and... A spider!
Hey, Miss Muffet, your curds and whey are on your head.
Let me tell you something. I'd rather wear 'em than eat 'em.